Hey, Cupcake Crew. Welcome back to Cupcake Chronicles, where we show you what it's like living full-time in our truck camper, Cupcake. We're Steve and Noel, and we're full-time travelers in our truck camper. Today, we're diving headfirst into work camping in North Dakota at the sugar beet harvest. We spent about a month working on a beet piling station last fall. We have no background in sugar beets, farming, harvesting, or heavy equipment.
Once the sugar beet harvest starts, the piling stations ideally operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, until all the beets are piled. But in reality, the harvest stops anytime the weather's too hot, cold, or too windy. The processing center stores gigantic beet piles until they're needed. Some piles may sit on the ground for 7 to 8 months before their sugar gets extracted. Beet farmers have specific shift assignments, like 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. for their harvest. They can only bring loads at their assigned times.
Early in the harvest, the beets from large farms are analyzed to determine the sugar content, and that value is applied for their subsequent beet loads. Smaller farms may need to have the sugar content tested on each load of beets. The trucks are weighed when they arrive at the beet processing center. If the beet sugar content needs to be tested, the truck driver is given a tag to give to one of us at the beet pile. At the beet pile, there are several different kinds of jobs: skid steer, helper sample taker, boom operator, and a pile operator. We'll walk you through our jobs. The helper sample taker spends the majority of their time sweep shoveling beets. There are 4 helper sample taker folks for each beet pile. 2 work on the left side of the piler and 2 work on the right side. We're sweeping away beets or beet fragments that have fallen or been ejected from the piler. Beet chunks and sometimes whole beets rain down. We need to stay on the far side of the yellow chain when walking underneath the boom. The boom is a conveyor belt to transport beets to the actual beet pile. It moves from side to side.
These are the beet shovels, or sweepers, that we use to move the beets. The helper sample taker spends most of the shift sweeping beets into a pile at the base of the boom. Here you can see the grab rollers. They remove soil, rock, sand, or weeds from the beet. Notice all the beet chunks dropping to the ground? The chunks, they don't weigh very much, but the entire beets could weigh around 6 pounds. We saw a coworker take an entire beet to the head, and it sure looked painful.
No sooner have you cleaned away the beet chunks than more beet chunks appear. As we shovel the beet chunks, we're pushing them under the boom. A skid steer operator will clear around the boom and truck unloading area every couple hours. This slow motion clip gives you a good idea of what task the helper sample taker is performing most of the time. As you watch the clip, you'll notice that tiny flecks of fluid appear on the camera lens. This is actually oil from the beet piler itself. Our piler is a dirty girl, and she spits a lot of dirt and oil at us. If you noticed from our last video, we were covered in dirt and oil by the end of the shift.
Apparently this one self-greases. I'm
It's on your ear.
It's everywhere. I'm wearing grease. I'm gonna have the softest, greasiest skin, or else it's gonna just eat off my face. This is how you take a sample. We use a sample bag here. If a truck's gonna get a sample, they give it to him at the scale house. Barcode that's associated with his load. We load it into this little pocket, and then we take a sample of beets. It gets about 20 pounds of beets, and then we stack them over here, and then several times a night the guy comes in a big forklift and we just load them into his bucket and he takes them to the lab. So they're checking the sugar content so that the farmers can get paid for high quality sugar beets. Sugar beets are kind of cool. They're not like red beets, although I've seen one red beet out here. Apparently it's kind of lucky to see red beets. They mostly look like, there's none here right now, they mostly look like great big turnips. Yeah, turnips. But they weigh anywhere from 1 pound to 6 pounds. After the trucks dump their beets, we guide them forward for a dirt return. A hanging piece of PVC helps us align the edge of the truck so it's not too close to the piler. We don't want trucks hitting the dirt returns conveyor belt. Once the truck is correctly under the return, we press a button to give the tear back. That means each truck gets its own beet chunks, dirt, sand, and rocks. When farmers harvest beets faster, they get more dirt mixed in. So some trucks get back big dirt returns, while others had pretty clean beets, so they got less dirt back. Some truck drivers are in a hurry to leave, so our role is just to get out of the way. If they need help backing up, we can guide them, but overall we're just trying to stay visible and out of their way.
The pile operator is the orchestra conductor, maneuvering control switches to communicate with the trucks and ground crew. The pile operator directs the truck motion, forward and reverse, and the rate of the truck bed lift. If we tell the truck driver to raise the truck bed too quickly, the beets may come flying out of the truck too fast for the conveyor belt to process. This results in beets dumping all over the ground. Not good. In rainy conditions or cold conditions, the beets may stick to the truck bed. It's a back and forth dance between the truck driver and the pile operator to raise the truck bed just enough to jog the beets loose, but not so much that all the beets come out at once. If beets spill over the B gate, no one is happy. The ground crew may need to help clean up, a skid steer operator may be required, and the foreman sure isn't happy about a work stoppage. The chains at the back of the truck prevent the rear door from opening too wide and allowing beets to come flying out too fast. Some trucks have an internal conveyor belt to move the beets off the truck. The truck bed doesn't raise and the beets slowly move off the truck. I asked one of the truck drivers and he said that his trucks are also used for a potato harvest. Potatoes are more fragile than beets, so they can't dump them all out of the truck just like they would beets. It's important to minimize the time that a truck bed is fully raised. One truck tipped over with the bed fully extended this year. I used 2 visual cues for how high I would raise the bed on the first lift, the second lift, and a final lift. I want to get all the beets out of the truck on the very final lift. The entire pile station moves like a caterpillar. The front portion of the movement is controlled by the boom operator, and the rear movement is controlled by the pile operator. When the front is moved backward, the rear will also need to move back. Tell them which side to go to. And the truck's gonna come right by over here. Trucks come in over here, and they come in, I stop them when their rear tire is kind of lined up with, can you see the gray there? I tell them to stop. Then back here I raise a gate. The gate keeps the beets from all flying out. Then I tell the truck, raise the truck bed. When the truck bed is raised, Then I throw a button and turn on this conveyor belt right here. The conveyor belt will bring the beets up from the truck to a main conveyor belt. Go up the main conveyor belt into a cleaner. After a cleaner, they go down another conveyor belt, a boom, and Noelle's actually down there, and Noelle is directing the boom back and forth across the pile of beets. So what's happening on the right is also happening simultaneously on the left. So you got to keep track of what you're doing. So there's a bunch of buttons. Like here, I tell them green light, move forward. I push that, it turns on a green light on the right side. That, a green light on the left side. See if you can see it. Yeah, see, green light over there. So that tells the drivers to move forward. If I say that one, it tells them you need to back up. See? I don't use the back up too much. We want to make sure we stop them in the right place so that they don't have to back up. Now, if they go too far forward, the beets are going to spill all over the place. Like down here, you can see beets on the ground. So some of the beets spilled over from the left side, and got some on the right side. So the goal is to get all the beets captured. You can just stand here and look out the door and see if there's any trucks coming. Back there's another pile of beets in the building. It seemed like today that one's getting full. It's crazy how many beets are like everywhere. I think this facility has 7 different beet piles. If my math is correct, each beet pile is about 5 acres. So there's another beet pile next to us. There's another beet pile there. The beet pile over there on our left, this one is, I want to say 28 feet tall. The beet pile Noelle and I are working on is 20 feet tall. They told me they like to feed the one that's 28 feet tall when the temperatures are colder. So one night last week we worked on a bigger pile, taller pile, when it was colder outside. And it's been warmer, we've been back here on our own smaller pile, 20 feet.
It's about 6 or 6:30 in the morning. It's been raining all night. Hasn't been the funnest tonight here, but hasn't been too bad actually. It's warm, so that's nice. So this is piling station, obviously. I run the boom from here. Usually I have a remote control, but I can shift it left, right, stop it, and I'll show you up here. There's the boom. So I'm directing it towards the pile of beets and getting the beets kind of even throughout the pile. Extra emphasis on the corners, which I've really kind of not done a great job over there tonight. I can't quite get it. Yeah. So on the day shift, they tell them to get that pile away as far as they can. And on the night shift, they tell me to bring it back in 3 or 4 feet. So we're constantly like in and out on that side. My job was helper, sample taker. But within that role, I was the boom operator. Imagine a giant conveyor belt attached to a massive arm, and that's the boom. On our regular piler, I controlled it with a remote. But on some pilers, there's no remote, so you have to stand at the machine and press buttons to move the boom. Beets rumble up the conveyor and then shoot out the end. They couldn't drop too far or they'd bruise, so I tried to keep the boom as close to the pile as possible without getting its hanging sensors stuck in the beets. Once that happened, the whole piler shut down, and we had to wait for a foreman to clear the errors. My goal was to stack beets evenly across a 20-foot tall, 36-foot wide pile. Buttons moved the boom up and down, and this gauge showed the height. It was like a giant game of Tetris, except with tons of beets. Once I got the hang of it, I felt like a beet stacking pro. When I had a remote, I walked in front of the pile, keeping the boom in front of me. But when we worked on pilers without a remote control, I'd either have to stand at the machine and guess how close the boom was while pushing the buttons, or I'd walk out to the pile and motion to Steve to push them. Since we worked the night shift, it was difficult for him to see me. Plus, with trucks driving between us, communicating with hand signals at a distance was hard. Here, I had Steve stop the boom at the corner, and then I walked around back to make sure the beets didn't fall out too far. Day shift aimed for a wider pile, while night shift supervisors kept having me bring them back in.
Occasionally, we had to move the entire piling station backwards for a good cleaning. The piler operator or foreman would lift the side chutes and then drive the whole machine away from the beet pile. If you look closely, you can see Cupcake, our truck camper, in the background. It was nice having her on site for breaks. We each used a padlock to lock out the electricity, and then we'd scrape the inside of the chutes in the washing station. It was heavy, muddy work, which I didn't particularly enjoy, but it's all part of the operation. So there you have it. That's our sugar beet harvest adventure. From zero experience to beet slinging pros, it was one heck of a wild ride. Working at the piling station was definitely a unique experience, and we learned a ton about where our food comes from. It was actually pretty cool being part of a tiny part of the agriculture scene. It certainly opened our eyes about some of the challenges farmers face. What surprised you the most about the sugar beet harvest? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this glimpse into our work camping life, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Cupcake Chronicles. We've got more adventures coming your way, so hit that notification so you don't miss out.
The North Dakota sugar beet harvest is a good way to earn a few $1,000s in a pretty short time. Of course, if you decide to work the Unbeetable Experience, please say we recommended you. That way, we'll get a small bonus once you complete a certain amount of hours. It's a win-win for you and us. In our next episode, we're going to dive right into our harvest camper finances. We'll share what we earned and what our actual costs were, so you can make an informed decision about whether or not harvest is for you. Thanks for joining us, Cupcake Crew. We'll see you in the next one.